Hello, my friends. Thank you, everyone, for joining us again on this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's our slot for our program, Spiritism, a closer look. You are on Kardec Radio. I'm Luiz Lima, your host. And if you have any comments, any suggestions, you have the information down on your screen. You can always get in touch with us, write to us, and we are looking for topics to discuss. Please feel free to bring some ideas as well. Okay, so tonight, tonight we are gonna discuss another topic that I think it's very important, especially in the present days: cancel culture. Cancel culture. Of course, it's a long topic. It would require hours and hours and hours. So what we are gonna do today is look at the tip of the iceberg. Basically, we're gonna have more programs with guests along the way about cancel culture. This is our first program, so there's a lot of momentum that this thing got into the last, I would say, 3 to 5 years maybe. So it's something that became almost part of our daily lives. Cancel culture. So we want to take a look at this, and let's try to define this. To define, we need to look a little bit into the history, but let me try a very broad definition. Cancel culture has to do, it's a form of ostracism. It has to do with um, exclusion, or trying to exclude somebody from a social content, from professional circles, either online or in person. It's about dividing, basically. It's about drifting away from people or groups of people that not necessarily agree with your opinion, your ideology. So ultimately, it's an expression of dissatisfaction with someone. Could be a person, could be a group of people, but it has to do with dissatisfaction. Now, this thing became so strong in our society because of historical things that we have to bring over here. As we know it, cancel culture, as we know it, became more evident after the arrival and the eclosion, or the outbreak, I would say, of the social networks. Associated it all happens at the same time with movements such as Black Lives Matters, the feminism. It's a lot of these things coming all together. They all came from one point. They met all at the same time, and that was, I would say, maybe 2016, 2017, something like that. And there's a specific, I would say, event that became significant for the eclosion, for this outbreak of cancel culture. Actress Alyssa Milano, she became this bold voice at one point against sexual harassment, speaking up and standing tall against sexual harassment, bringing a new level of conscience. As a result, several powerful people in Hollywood, probably the most significant case is filmmaker Harvey Weinstein. He was actually sentenced to 23 years in prison because of several different cases of sexual harassment. So that event gave a lot of power to a lot of people by realizing, if we put pressure on groups, on people, on businesses that we don't like, that we want to go against, to, because of the internet, it became so powerful. It will generate something. It will generate something. And that's how this thing started, with the social tradition where women, especially in Hollywood, women had to abide to the rules dictated by those in power, so they could get, work, they could get a job, they could, you know, just participating in films and movies, and so otherwise they would be just set aside. So this is kind of a turning point. It's not the only thing, but it's an important case. So this thing about canceling people or groups became more evident that by doing this we could really exclude people, exclude companies, exclude businesses, and just cancel them. And it became more intense, a lot more intense, against public figures, celebrities, politicians. So speaking up your voice against these people or groups of people became something relevant in our society. What is cancel culture trying to accomplish? It needs to be well understood. We're looking at this from the social point of view, society. We're not in Spiritism yet, but we need to know what this entails so we can bring the Spiritist view on top of all of this. So, what is cancel culture trying to accomplish? In a few words, it's trying to accomplish loss of followers in social network, cancellation of contracts, publicity contracts. We could summarize with an expression that I really like. It's called virtual lynching. That's the main goal. It's something that tries to punish people or groups against a perceived behavior or ideological view. So, for example, I have a view on certain thing. Somebody else has a different view. I don't like it, and I cancel that person. Meaning, I will do everything that I can within my power to exclude that person, exclude from the society, from the group that they belong, in the name of social justice, which not necessarily it is, but that's what carries on the thing. And this difference of opinions will make me force these people to follow a different behavior or behave in a different way. So it has to do with conflict of opinions, thoughts, ideology, and it's so. And now we're starting to get into a little bit more into this. It's based on right and wrong. If I cancel somebody, it's because I consider myself right about that particular subject, whatever it is, doesn't matter. So I consider myself right, and the other person who has a different view, a different opinion, is wrong. That's my point. So because of that, I'm going to cancel that person. So it has to do with right and wrong, doing the right thing, doing the wrong thing. Now, for some people, doing this just became a way of life. That's all they do. It's like their mission in life is cancel culture everyone and everything. So obviously that disturbs not only social networks, but society in general. Society is very driven today by internet and online, the online world, especially with the pandemic. There was a lot less physical contact. So we spent 2 years doing a lot of social networks and online stuff, not necessarily social networks, online in general. So this thing spread really quick and in a very strong way. Okay, now, cancel culture could be something temporary or permanent. It could be temporary or permanent. Temporary means I'm going to cancel you until you change your attitude, you change your opinion in a way that matches mine, or at least does not go against mine. And that will be temporary. I'm going to be waiting for you to, move and make your change. And I'm going to be here. The day you do that, I will uncancel you, per se. That's temporary canceling. There's also permanent canceling, which is It's very radical, in which I'm going to cancel you. I'm going to erase all evidences that we ever had any sort of contact, email, social networking interaction, everything, absolutely everything. So I'm going to wipe out you from my life. That would be a very broad idea about permanent canceling. No matter what you do from here on, no matter if if you're sorry one day and you do a different behavior, it just doesn't matter. That was it. There was that one. It's a one-way street. And because of our society became so digital, right? Our society, a lot of what happens in society happens in a digital environment, social networks being the most of them. And because it's all digital, it's 0 and 1. That's what the digital world is, 0 or 1. Yes or no, right or wrong, cancel or don't cancel. There's nothing in between. It's either yes or no. There's no, well, let's analyze, let's see. No, there is no such a thing. It's a full yes or a full no, nothing in between. That's what a digital society is doing to us. And these things, they pop up everywhere on internet, public speeches, TV, radio, all sorts of broadcasting, including advertisements. Sometimes a company puts an ad on TV, people don't like, they cancel culture on the company. They, you know, there is no boundary. There's no boundary. So we become, there are several different methods of cancel culturing, somebody canceling, shunning, boycotting, expelling people from groups, bullying, all of those. If you go to that place, I don't go because, I canceled you. So it's really complicated. All right, this is our society today. Let's go back in time. Let's revisit facts of history. Jesus was canceled. Of course, we didn't have the expression cancel culture in those days, but he was canceled by the scribes, by the Pharisees, by the Sanhedrin. He was canceled, right? Inquisition. What is the Inquisition other than we are going to cancel all of those, everyone and anyone that does not follow my rules, church rules at the time. So these are the rules. You follow or you get canceled. It just happens that being canceled by the Inquisition meant they're going to set you on fire. It's a physical punishment. Abortion is cancel culture because you're canceling the opportunity that somebody would have to incarnate. It's a form of cancel culture. You see how broad this thing is? That's why we can't do it all in 30 minutes. This is the tip of the iceberg. So there is no, and that's the next thing, there is no clear line or limit between cancel culture and violence. One leads to the other. So we became extremely violent in our social networks, intimidating, cyberbullying, and it goes on and on and on. Now, a few things that we need to consider. Let's say I'm canceling somebody because I think they had a wrong behavior. Again, of course, I think I'm right. That person thinks differently. So that person is wrong, and I'm going to cancel that person. Think about this. What if I'm canceling somebody for something they did not do? What if I cancel somebody because I think I'm sure they did something, but they didn't? That's trouble. For who? For that person? No, for me. I'm going to have to offset that. Here's another situation. We do these static judgments on past actions, and we cancel the person in the present. For example, I'm going to cancel that person because 35 years ago he had this particular thought, or he supported this particular thing that I don't today. He supported 35 years ago, not necessarily today. It's a static judgment that can easily, very easily, lead to cancel culture. So we are trying to use in cases like this, we are trying to use the past to validate the present. Spiritism is about evolution. So it all comes down to, it depends on interpretation, not necessarily the actions of the person. It's how I interpret those actions that makes me cancel. Right? Very complicated, very difficult. It's very easy to go wrong. And that happens because of a lot of things: age, gender, sexual orientation, opinion, professional, political ideology, racism, and it goes on and on and on. And not only people, it jumps over at a certain point, maybe a couple of years ago, it started to jump over outside the personal arena. And now we do that against companies, enterprises, businesses. So what happens when I cancel permanently somebody? It's a process of castellation of the self. I'm putting like a castle. I'm going into a personal castle. I build up a castle around me. Nobody gets in. I don't want any interaction with these people, which is not very good, right? Because we grow and we advance because we interact with others. So it's all based on right and wrong. And we explained this a few weeks ago. Actually, let me bring this to you because I insist on this because I think it's really important. This is the spirit scale, right? We spoke about this in the past. Down here you have the less advanced spirits, impure, frivolous, and so, going up to the more advanced ones, pure, high order ones. That has to do with moral and intellectual development. So if you're right or wrong, it's on the same spectrum. I can be doing something here today that I think it's right. Time goes by, I will get better. When I'm up here, I'm going to look back and say, wow, when I was down here, I thought that was right. But now that I'm up here, it's completely wrong. Things change because our opinion changes, because that is what evolution is all about. So this punitive logic on personal views means I'm down here somewhere. Nobody in the green here is going to do cancel culture. Because cancel culture is a dark thing. It's an evil thing. To do cancel culture, I have to be down here, really down here. Not even neutral, because neutral, you don't do good, you don't do bad. It's less than neutral. Cancel culture puts us as here somewhere. Yeah, no, it's sad, but it's true. It's in the codification. So there's lack of respect when we do cancel culture. First, there's lack of understanding. That's what we're trying to discuss here, but there's lack of respect as well. So because of cancel culture, some things happen. One, important matters in our society lack space for discussion and debate. So we don't discuss, we don't debate these things. Very bad. Because when we try to discuss and bring ideas, we are going to get canceled, and we do not agree. So Nothing happens. So that makes our society morally fragmented. Instead of going towards union and togetherness, we go towards a fragmented society, morally speaking, even intellectually speaking. So you see, you cannot attach culture, cancel culture, to happiness, because happiness is not down here, it's up there. Now, what you think of the person, of the victim, right? The one I'm trying to cancel, we call it the victim. So what you think of the victim might not even matter to them. And you're all suffering and going through all the trouble through this dark energy. It might not even matter to them. They might not even know that you exist. When I say you, it's all of us. It's a way of saying. It's not you in person, not personal. It's a way of referring to humanity. So when we make the whole world around our identity, meaning I'm the only one, I'm right, I might crash. It's very easy to crash. And the castle comes down, dismantles. Because cancel culture has to do with the idea of a superiority of the ego. So cancel culture is not a tool, is not a tool for causing punishment and for suffering on another person. It's a tool for causing punishment and suffering on the self. I am the one suffering that. Think about this. When I cancel somebody, I created a division. There's separation there of some sort. For example, let's say you don't like, I don't know, music, country music, for example. You don't like country music. So as of this point, you don't like any country music artist. You don't want to know anything about it. You don't really care, and you cancel everything country music related. On the other hand, everybody in country music cannot see you. You became invisible. You got canceled too. For them, they didn't cancel you, but you cancel yourself because you divided. So they no longer exist from their perspective. You no longer exist because you excluded yourself the minute you put the castle around. It creates a break point. And anytime we break something, we have to offset it somehow. So at one point, we're going to have to offset. So why cancel somebody? We should never do that. Stop canceling. Let's allow ourselves to be happy, reconcile with the self, make sense. I need to make sense to myself. I need to make sense to myself. I need to set the bar high. Cancel culture sets the bar low, really low. I need to set the bar high. As you go up in the spirit scale, as you go up, good overshadows the past evil. If I stay on the evil grade of the scale, there won't be any good, there won't be any happiness. So we're going to be living our life in the shadows. Cancel culture is dark. Think about it. Canceling someone opens the door for someone to cancel you back. And then somebody told us, don't do to others what you don't want the others to do to you. When I cancel somebody, I am opening the doors to be canceled back or by somebody else. And I ask you, on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 to 10. How much would you like to be a victim of cancel culture? Very likely you don't want to do that. So it might be a good time to reflect upon the subject, live a better life. Cancel culture speed bumps ourselves. Speed bump. You have to hit the brakes. It prevents you from going ahead faster, because now you're going to have to offset something that you did. And the more you do, the more you're going to have to offset. The more speed bumps you create for yourself along the way. Cancel culture speed bumps ourselves. Cancel culture is a philosophy. Is it the best philosophy? Spiritism is a philosophy. And if you believe Spiritism, and if you subscribe to it, cancel culture is an abomination, because it goes head to head, goes just like that, against Spiritism. Then coming back to the beginning, Jesus got canceled. Did he cancel anyone? Of course not. He's a pure spirit. It's never going to happen. Does God cancel anyone? No. So we are, most of us on planet Earth, we are on the lower part of the spirit scale. If we want to get to the higher part of the scale, the green part, and to put it back here so you don't forget what I'm saying. We want to go to the green part of the scale, get away from the red zone in the bottom. We need to change our philosophy. Several things need to be done. One of them is cancel culture. Cancel. Take it out of your life, of your thoughts, of your mind. Don't do it. I'm Luiz Lima. Thank you so very much for joining us today. Like I said in the beginning, this is a broad, very broad subject. We are going to discuss this a little bit more in other opportunities in the upcoming weeks. We're going to have guests discussing and bringing different ideas here. And thank you so much for being with us tonight. And we'll see you.